Good evening, racing fans, and welcome back to the channel for another episode of our weekend preview. We have Group 1 action from Newbury, but we're going to cover 4 races from Newbury and then take a look at 3 from Newmarket as well. I'm then going to ask the guys for their best bets of the weekend out of the races that we have discussed. We're going to put them into a lucky 15, and hopefully, there's a fourth selection that we all agree on somewhere through the episode that we can chuck in for selection number 4. But that would just be a little bit of fun anyway, and something for you guys to follow us in with at home. But like I said, we've got some really good racing this week. What else have I got to report? Oh, yes. So we did record our season review. We had a few technical difficulties, so we're going to re-record that next week, and that will be up before the weekend. So we will have that out for you as well. And thanks everyone for tuning in. We do appreciate the continued support. If you can subscribe to the channel, it's free to do. Just gives us a little bit of a boost out there to a wider audience. But I'm joined by my two usual wingmen. Let's start with Mr. Jaime Wrenn. How are you, buddy?
Great, Joe. I didn't forget the command this time, but very busy at work, but we'll move on. And I don't like barbecue sauce with my pizza.
Oh, Jesus. Wait, what? What? Oh, right. Okay. Fine, fine. Yeah, I see it. Took me a while to clock that, actually. So, yeah, we were meant to record this yesterday, and then Liam texted me saying, "Oh, no, lads, we're meant to be recording within an hour." Then I said, "Oh, yeah, you're right, aren't you?" Well, I was stood in Pizza Hut ordering some food. So, we let Jamie down, but we're back and we are going to get into the swing of things again from sort of next week onwards. We're going to be back regular with some shows. Liam, how you doing, man? You okay? Everything well? Your end been a pretty decent couple of weeks for you on the tipping front as well for Oddschecker.
Yes, it has, mate. And then just hitting the woodwork. I think over the last few days, a few second places, some decent place money from big
Yeah,
prices,
yeah.
but yeah, they won't pay the bill. So hopefully the winners around the corner. Definitely looking in the right places, I think.
Yeah, look, we had those winners, and the places they do keep you ticking over. To be fair, don't they? They just sort of top up that profit a little bit more, and as long as we're not losing, we are happy. Right, let's get stuck straight into this. We're going to try not to be too long because we do have the second major of the year right now. I've got it on in the background, so if
Or
you
do
do,
I? I have it here.
yeah, so if you see us having a bit of a look around, you're going to have to deal with that this week. Right, we'll start off at Newbury though. We got a really good race to start the meeting. The 1250, the Aston Park Stakes, the Group 3 over 1 mile for furlongs. We've got King Gambit at 5-2, Sunway at 4-1, 9-2 for Al Azi, Al Cordobes or Al Cordobes for Godolphin at 5-1, and any price you like for the remainder. Jamie, who do you like in here? We've got quite a short price favourite here with King's Gambit, and I can see why because he's got some strong form, but he struggled to get his head in front. Is it just because he's been running a better company, or?
um, this is the horse that hurt the most, Joe. You remember last year at Right Ascot about all the controversy. Remember we had on the group about picking the right stall,
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, of
and
course. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. I
lost
remember.
my, as they say, cojones on King's Gambit. It was my handicap nap of last year. But look, you have to remember now, he won in the car last year in the London Gold Cup, but that was a mile and two. Now, the only worry about him 5-2 to find out he's never won over a mile and a half, I don't
Yeah,
think. Right? But if you look back at his form, like after that race, he was second in Ascot, second in the Sky Bet York Stakes over 10 furlongs, sorry, 10 miles. Third in the Great Voltage Arc. That's like, over a mile and a half behind Los
yeah,
Angeles.
that's huge form, isn't it? Like,
Illinois, who romped home at
yeah.
Chester. Uh, Seventh in the Champion Stakes, again. You see what Sea the Fire did today at York.
Oh
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Economics was in that race. They're all there. And he was fourth in behind in Al Ukba. Ukda, I've heard, right? Rebels Romance won that race.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Second was the Foxes, who won at Chester. I'm like, a fight to two best at the best price to find out. If he can't win this, he might as well give up, in my opinion, and just go back into handicaps.
It's
But
a
he just went
yeah, it's
because
a
Sunway has form behind. Obviously, ran in the race. Obviously, last day was 6-4 favorite. Divine Grace or something was there.
that's it.
But then
Yeah.
Bella Justin then went on to beat was fifth or something that's on race and finished in and won at the 2000 Guineas meeting the last day. Bella Justin beating Silver Knot.
Yeah, of course.
But by far the best form is King's Gambit. And if he can't win this, like I think this is his level, Joe.
Yeah.
handicapped Group 3 listed, or he's level. Maybe he might win a Group 2 or Group 1 when there's no one around in back end of nowhere and maybe up in Saudi or something like that.
Yeah,
When no one's looking. But if he can't beat these, it's back into handicaps for me.
yeah, I agree because even if you look at Alcor Dorbs, I think you call it the Godolphin horse, 5-1. Yeah, he's only rated 108. He's got a lot to find. Some way, top class 4-year-old obviously ran in the Arc as well as a 3-year-old finished 10th. Probably needs to find a little bit still to match what King's Gambit's done. Any love for Alazi though, Liam? Good price. I know he's an 8-year-old now, which just seems mad, but he is the class act here. He's a multiple group winner. No reason to doubt him. For me, if you can get him at 5-1, I will be tempted to get stuck in. I do think King's Gambit's the likeliest winner, but I think the 5-1 is very, very generous if you can get it. I know he's 9-2 right about now.
Yeah, I think with King's Gambit, first of all, they evidently think that there's more to come from this horse, and obviously they've slapped the old blinkers on first time.
Yeah.
In a, but I'm not sure if that's a little bit of desperation is the wrong word, but I can't think of a better one. Alazi, absolutely. I always love course and distance form, Joe. So that would certainly tick a box for me. I think that he would potentially be a danger. I do actually like a few horses in this field. Another one being that Courage Mon Ami. Obviously, I think this is a trip too short for him. I think it will definitely be a prep for targets further down the line, more than likely the Ascot Gold Cup. But he was a horse that I was quite taken with when he was winning well on the all-weather. And I think potentially he's one to keep on side for later in the season. But yes, no, you mentioned Alazi. He's the one that I'd probably be most likely to side with if I were to have a bet in this.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's quite simple for me. If I can get 5-1 on Alazi, I will back him each way. If he's less than 5-1, I will just go on a straight win with King's Gambit. I think it's absolutely going to be between these two. It's probably quite significant to note as well. King's Gambit, both of his wins to date have actually come here at Newbury as well. Another one, I suppose, with pretty decent course form. And when he did win the London Cup here last year, he actually beat Poneros, who obviously went on to win the Triumph Hurdle, and he smacked him by 4 lengths as well. So look, that third in the Voltigeur, that's just huge as well. A neck behind Illinois, another neck behind Los Angeles. Like Jaime said, you'd be really disappointed if he couldn't win this, to be fair. But if I get 5-1 on Alazi, I will back him. But I think King's Gambit's the likeliest winner. Right, okay, the 125 at Newbury, the Highclere Stakes over 6 furlongs. Idas of March is your favourite here at 7-4 for Ballydor. Very interesting runner here. This is a 3-year-old colt by Wootton Bassett, so he's still intact. That could even suggest that they think there's more to come from him. He was a Group 3 winner as a 2-year-old over 6 furlongs. He was then second to Whistle Jacket on his seasonal debut, just caught last minute. And of course, Whistle Jacket won a Group 1 in France as well. His best form comes over 6 furlongs. He probably will get further in time too, but for me, I think 7-4 is an incredibly fair price about this horse. I will go on to a little bit more detail in a minute because I actually fancy him for a race further down the season. But Liam, have you got much to say here? I think you mentioned you fancy one at a bigger price.
Yeah, he kind of drifted and then has seen money since, and I don't think you can ever kind of dismiss a horse that has a perfect record essentially. So Strong Warrior, who's a little bit further down the card, if obviously you're looking at it in price order. What I'm currently looking at, best price 18-1, was 33s at one point, so has seen a bit of money. But he's got some decent form. He beat Hammer the Hammer. Is it? Hammer the Hammer. What a name. He's since gone on to win his last 3 races, albeit 2 of them on the all-weather at Southall, but then followed up at Chester, obviously, last week. I think potentially, given the fact that that form's worked out quite well, finished 3 lengths ahead of him, and that horse, Hammer the Hammer, is now rated 100. I think potentially there's more progression to come. So he'd probably be the one that I'd be looking at most of all.
Yeah, like I like the appeal there as well. Now you've mentioned it because there's a few ahead of him in the market that I wouldn't fancy whatsoever. But when you get these form boosts on the flat, it can be significant. Jaime, anything outside of the favourite here? Idas of March?
No, I think it's quite simple, Joe. You nailed it. Idas of March, especially the second behind Whistle Jacket, first time out. Whistle Jacket, to me, I always thought he's better on soft ground, where Idas of March is better on fast ground. Look, you can say and look back at the juvenile sprint last year over 5 furlongs, Whistle Jacket finished him up. But if you watch that race, Idas of March actually dwelt at the start, went way wide around the whole field, and still finished like a train. And that was against the wrong trip over 6 furlongs,
Yeah, sure.
5 furlongs, and now he's moved up to 6. I was looking at it at the start, and I thought Symbol of Honor maybe didn't handle a Newmarket the last day. But sometimes
Possibly,
you have to
yeah.
take Maidan form with a pinch of salt because that's a good Dolphin benefit home, really, and that's not being smarter either. They just feed and farm those races. Looking at the form, the bear form, and the way he won, he's made and at the Curragh on good ground. It's a march to win that, and there's a reason why they're bringing him over. And yeah, there could be definitely Group 1 races down the line, July Cups maybe, for Ides of March down the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is an absolute certainty personally this weekend. Comes up against horses here rated in the 90s for the most part. The two that are most highly rated are is the Richard Hughes runner at 101 and then Symbol of Hope at 104. But like you just mentioned there, James, Idis was only a neck behind Whistle Jacket, who's rated 114.
Ides of March is 108, so he's £4 in hand.
There is a rating, is that I could see one.
Yeah, and I'd say he's better than 108.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. I think the 7 to 4 is a really, really good price. Now, I do fancy him for a race later on in the season too, because he's got entries everywhere. He's entered in the Irish Guineas at 50 to 1, but that comes too soon. He's at 20 to 1 for the King Charles at Royal Ascot. 5 furlongs is too short for him. He's 50 to 1 for the St James Palace Stakes over a mile. Might be too far for him right now. But obviously, he's a Group 3 winner as a 2-year-old over 6 furlongs. And his other entry comes in the Commonwealth Cup, the Group 1 over 6 furlongs at Royal Ascot at 20 to 1 in sort of like, 4 or 5 weeks' time or whatever it is. Assuming he goes on to win this race, which I think he should do, I really do think he should be winning this race off those sort of marks, then I think that 20 to 1 for the Commonwealth Cup is a very tempting price indeed. And I might even pull the trigger on that Ante-Post bet before the time of the off. So if he wins, he's going to go 5 to 1, something around that mark, maybe even shorter. So yeah, for me, Ides of March for Jaime as well. And then what's yours called? Liam Strong Warrior.
Yes, that's the one.
Warrior, a bigger price at 18 to 1. Right, we move on swiftly to the London Gold Cup, which was won by, like we just mentioned, King's Gambit last year. I found this quite a difficult race actually. You got Genealogy at 3 to 1, 5 to 1 for Nebraska, Sadard at 7 to 1, and then Asman Warrior at 9 to 1 each way, who is tempting me because he carries a very, very low weight and is proven at this trip. But the favourite, another Ballydoyle horse, a 3-year-old colt, again still intact by Wootton Bassett. Broke his maiden at the second time of asking, but was then 5th behind the Derby favourite Delacroix at Newmarket over a mile. He does step up to 1 mile 4. Will he stay, Jane?
Mile 2, Joe, I think, isn't it? I might be wrong.
Mile 2, you probably right.
On the goal. I just had a look at it there, and I said I don't really
1-2.
fancy it, but I'm going to make it obvious. Obviously, you said he was second on debut behind Acapulco Bay. It wasn't great behind Delacroix, but it was obviously 6 lengths behind Delacroix in the Autumn Stakes.
Yeah.
It's the one he beat Storm Piece at Punchestown. He dwelt at the start, if you look back at it, and he still stayed on and beat Storm Piece. Storm Piece came out the last day and won at Gorham Park.
Okay.
And a very interesting day. It was the whole time of the Kieran Schumacher thing, and they asked Gerald Lyons, do you see that Colin Keane is going to be retained maybe by that crowd? Abdullah, sorry. If he comes over, and he was delighted. And he was delighted with the run at Gorham Park by Stormpiece. And he immediately said after the race that this is my Britannia horse.
Oh, wow.
If Gerald Lyons says that, you take notice.
Yeah.
So when Genealogy beats Stormpiece, I know it looks obvious it's the favourite, but that's the one. It's tentative because I don't really fancy anything in the race. I looked at it up, down, backwards, frontwards, sideways all day, Joe, and I couldn't find one. But that little piece of form I just checked there was a little bit good for me because if he wins, I'll be all over Stormpiece then for the Britannia.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. That's an interesting shout. Nebraska 5 to 1's a little bit short for Gosden and Doyle. Nice horse, but the form's been let down. They're seemingly quite persistent at this trip. I'd prefer to see this one drop back. Sadard by the brilliant Pinatubo for Roger Variant and Sheikh Ahmed Al Maktoum. Only just stayed a mile though, Pinatubo. So I wouldn't be convinced that this horse is gonna go and stay the mile and a quarter. Liam, who's taking your fancy in the race? Have you got a fancy? It's quite a difficult one to sort of dissect at the minute.
Yeah, no, I did struggle with this one, Joe. However, it was the Asmin Warrior that you'd mentioned. My only concern would be the fact that he got upset in the stalls on his first
Okay.
start this season, and then obviously he led on his second start. I'm just not sure if he's a little bit headstrong, and if he doesn't get things his own way and kind of obviously breaks leads, then maybe he might kind of
Yeah,
spit
yeah.
the dummy
Okay.
out a little bit. But that theory might be complete and utter nonsense. But he's the one who did catch my eye at an each way price. But if I'm perfectly honest, mate, this is probably a race that I'll watch.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, well, I do quite like Asman Warrior myself. I didn't realize he got sort of lit up early. That obviously is a slight cause for concern, but he's been second over this trip twice. He stays, and the fact that he receives a lot of weight here from the sort of front of the market really is just it's a little bit tempting to me because I think, like I said, Nebraska don't think he's a horse of this trip. Sadard again, I think he's going to struggle to stay. Genealogy could be anything, but I like the fact that we have proven stamina with Asman Warrior regardless. So the 9 to 1 each way will do for me. Right, we move on to the highlight of the day, the 235 at Newbury, the Lockinge Stakes, the Group 1 over a mile. And this, to me, seems quite obvious in the way that we see things. So Rosallion, of course, he won the Irish Guineas. He also won the St James Palace Stakes. He's definitely the best horse in this race. But he comes in here after a 333-day layoff. He's back from injury, which makes it harder. And if he doesn't perform to his best first time out, then Dancing Gemini is going to be quite hard to stop. He hasn't won at this level before, Dancing Gemini, so he does still need to improve. But do you just catch Dancing Gemini now whilst he's fit? And he could just be a 4-year-old getting better. James, I'm going to stick with you because you made it no secret. You really like Dancing Gemini as a horse. Is he Group 1 contender worthy? I mean, he's worthy, isn't he? But do you fancy him to take the win?
Yeah, big time. Um, but you have to look back, like the race at Doncaster just caught my eye, Joe, and then obviously tipped him for the Bet365 mile on Whitbread weekend at Sandown on the flat on the Friday. He was really good. He travels like a very good horse, and he's a kick and he has another kick, which is great to see for a miler. But you have to be, I suppose, if you look back at technically, you have to be really drawn to Tamfana's first time out run. Is a decent bet each way in the race against Dancing Gemini. The two I can have anyway is Notable Speech. Uh,
Guineas winner. Guineas winner.
Guineas winner beating Rosallion. Rosallion beat Hatem. Hatem won the Jersey. Hatem's a 7 furlong horse. Rosallion's form last year beating Henry Longfellow in a St. James's Palace. What did Henry Longfellow do after that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Saying he's a great miler, Rosallion, is he?
I
I,
think I think
we'll
Rosallion is.
see. We'll see from 3 to 4. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
well, this is the exact
Yeah.
question of the race, isn't it? After such a
Mhm.
long layoff and an injury, is he going to come back?
He's
If he
gonna come back.
returns to his Irish Guineas form or his
Mhm.
form in the St James Palace, he
Mhm.
wins. It's not a question in my
Yeah.
mind. He's rated 122 and 124, or is he
Mhm.
rated 122 as well? Dancing Gemini is nowhere near that, but you can't ignore the fact about
Right.
how well he's been seeing out his races,
He's
Dancing
improved.
Gemini,
I
and
think that, as I said, remember he ran in a derby, and I said before that they were mucking around with his trip, mile and 4, mile and 2, but they say
yeah,
now he's
okay.
a strong stay miler, and you need that
Yeah,
in you.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? To me, it's a 2 horse race, and I couldn't have the Guineas winner. I can't have St. James Palace and Irish 2000 Guineas winner. I think it's the form is there to be seen. Bet365 mile at Sandown, Dancing Gemini, the up and coming miler, and a horse that screamed and took your eye out behind him in Tamfana. I think it's between the two of them. If you want to back Dancing Gemini to win and thing each way, Tamfana, best luck, Joe. But I'll be back and I'll be going all in here on Dancing Gemini, and I hope I'm proved right that what I see with my eyes that this is the new up and coming miler. Now
Yeah,
Rosallion
yeah.
make the fool out of me, but I don't think Rosallion's form is that great from last year, and let's be honest.
Brave call, yeah, brave call. This is where we'll find out though if Dancing Gemini is that top miler you're suggesting.
Yeah.
This is the highest grade. He's taken on an English Guineas winner, an Irish Guineas winner, St James Palace winner. But now could be the time to catch him. Like you said, we know he's fit and race ready. All systems go for Dancing Gemini. Liam, anything to add to the Lockinge, the big race?
Notable Speech would almost lure me in, but only on the basis that prior to today, Charlie Appleby was operating at almost a 40% strike rate, and obviously William Buick, I think, around like 30 odd percent. So obviously they're flying. The other thing I found interesting, Sean Levy was interviewed on ITV earlier this week and asked what sort of form Rosallion's in. Is he as good as when we last saw him? And his response wasn't exactly that one word, but he did say better. There was better in the sentence that he described. So it wasn't just a case of he's better than he was, but he did say I think he's in better form. So if he's come forward,
sure,
after that layoff, then I think potentially he's very difficult to beat. Not the sort of prices I'd play at, as you boys know, but if that is the case, then it'll be very, very difficult to pass.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he, like you said, if he comes back first of all and he is better than what he was last year, then he simply wins the race. I think it's as simple as that. But I am with Jamie this time, though. I'm going to give Dancing Gemini a chance because he's impressed me, and I haven't been on his side this season, to be honest. And even when he won last time out, I thought he's going to have to improve again to win over the mile. But the fact, like we said, the other two are coming here a little bit fresher, particularly Rosallion, just makes it a little bit more of an opportunity, I suppose, with Dancing Gemini to possibly pick up a Group 1. It would obviously do really well for the pedigree. Let us know who you fancy at home in the Lockinge. Drop us a comment below whether you think it's worth siding with the fresher horse or the race fit horse, or whoever else you fancy, I suppose, on the day. Right, we're going to go over to Newmarket quite swiftly now. We do have 3 races. I don't have a strong opinion in any of the 3, but I have played some cross doubles with my granddad. So we've got 2 from the opening race, 2 in the second race, and we've gone £50 cross doubles between us. I'll get mine out there straight away because they're 2 near the front of the market in the 105, which is a 7 furlong handicap. As I quite like Walifi here for Shadwell, Haggis, and Kieran Fallon. A horse that is a little bit awkward, but clearly has talent. And then Ledman, we have him at 8 to 1 for David Amara. A horse that's sort of been consistently running to the same level for the last 2 or 3 runs, but still looks like a horse that has more improvements. We played those 2 as the first leg anyway. Liam, any fancy in this race? I found Newmarket incredibly difficult this weekend.
I would agree. And this race has obviously been sponsored by BetMGM, and it's called the Read Meg Nichols blog at betmgm.co.uk. So I will be in my bedroom reading Meg Nichols' blog on BetMGM and leaving this race alone. Sorry.
Maybe she's hid the winner in there for us in that book somewhere. You have to let us know. Jamie, who do you fancy in the opener?
I fancy a horse I've never heard of the trainer, but he just caught my eye last day at Leicester because he beat a 4-6 shot who was in a docket of mine because I backed him at 6 to 4. I ended up 4-6 in Indian Spirit. And it was a horse called Dark Tornado, and he's off the same mark. He ran off 90. Now he's off 90, and he's 9 to 1. I see he was 12 to 1 earlier. He just caught my eye. He was second then when he changed trainer at Leicester. Then he came on behind Rogue Diplomat, and then he changed trainer. But the form that sticks out last year, Joe, is that the horse he ran in a novice in York behind a horse that I like going forward. Remember, I mentioned him in the Dancing Gemini race. Was a horse called Lead Artist. He was 5 lengths behind him in a novice stakes at York last May. And it's just he really won like a very good improving horse, and he had to be eased down at the end at Leicester. He's off the same mark. He's 9 to 1 still at the best odds, and he's a cracking bit each way because I think he's improving. So Dark Tornado for me.
Love it, mate. Love it. Well, we'll go with yours there because you actually seemingly quite fancy yours. We move on to the 140, the 7 furlong handicap, the class 4. Not the best race in the world, but we've got some decent enough horses in here. Fondo Blanco for Fox Racing at 11 to 4. Art Market at 7 to 2. Arabian Leopard at 5 to 1. Original Outlaw at 7s. We Dare to Dream at 7s. And any price you like for the remainder. I'm just going to give you the 2 that we've covered in here for the cross doubles as well. And that's Art Market at 7 to 2. I think we got 4 to 1. And We Dare to Dream at 7 to 1. So we are, I suppose, on the side there, but I don't have a real standout. Liam, I'm going to come to you first for this one.
I quite like Spirit of Leros
Okay, a bit further
down
down.
towards the bottom. So I think it's available around about 20 to 1 ish.
Down to one.
So I think it's available around about 20 to 1 ish. He won at Newbury off a mark that was just £1 lower than his current mark of 83. You look back at that form when he put his best foot forward, and there were some decent horses in behind who have franked it. So one of which was Rare Change, who obviously won earlier this week at
Yeah.
York. I think potentially he could be overpriced as an each way poking, especially given the fact that what are there kind of 9 runners in this, 9, 10
Yeah.
runners. I think he could definitely run into a place off his current mark. So yeah, for Marco Botti, I would be playing Spirit of Leros each way in this.
He has, Liam, a speed figure of like 91. It's miles clear of anything in this race as well. So, and he actually picked that up on good ground too, which is really interesting. So, you're even roping me in there. Jamie, have you got a fancy?
Um, I backed this horse a lot, Joe, last year. It's a very tentative selection. I don't really fancy it, but it's his first run since he's been gelded. And for Rafe Beckett, Richard King's got 7 to 1 here. Is looking at Original Outlaw. I know he's a
Yeah.
lot of seconds and zeros, but sometimes when you see that in a horse that he might not go through it. But it's the race at Goodwood last year. I backed him, and he was second, not beaten about a half length behind a horse that I really like with Mr. Chaplin. He's called. He just stuck it out to me there. Now I looked it up and down today, and I didn't really fancy him, but I remember now actually looking at it now that I backed him last year. He was down the field, obviously in the big nursery handicap at York behind Witch Hunter. Is it Witch Hunter? No, it might not be Witch Hunter. Hold on, it is Witch Hunter.
That Goodwood race, by the way, has been franked.
Angel Hunter. Yeah, but
Angel
that
Hunter.
Goodwood race has been franked big time, and like I that sometimes catches my eye. First time since the gelding operation, so they know
Yeah.
there's a big day in him. Maybe it's not today, but that race that Goodwood was a class 2. This is a class 4. Massive 2 grade down drop. Maybe today's the day, first day out. But if he doesn't win, you definitely want to keep an eye out further for your tracker, yeah, Original Outlaw.
Yeah, love it, James. Love it. Yeah, you got me sold there. That form working out really nicely. He beat a horse that was behind him in third was Al Burhan. He won his previous
Yeah.
two,
Mm-hmm.
and then he won obviously next time. So
He Shadwell El Burhan, isn't he?
yeah, Al Burhan,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, Shadwell horse, you got it. That's the one. And he looked really blimming good, to be honest with you, last time out as well. Oh, that's Navan. We're not at Navan. We're sticking at Newmarket for the 215, the BetMGM handicap for the milers. I do actually quite fancy one in here. The favourite is Classic Encounter. He's been well backed at 2 to 1. Mythical Guest here at 9 to 2 is a really interesting contender. Where's Freddie at 6s? Royal Velvet at 6s. 7 to 1 for Good Morning Alex, and any price you like for the remainder. Jamie, we'll come to you first for this one.
I think it's quite simple, Joe. The top one wins.
You think
Uh,
so, Fab?
yeah, mythical guests, yeah. Because I think the horse that he was beating at Ascot the last day
That's
is
second Fav. Second Fav.
second. Oh, he's second, Fab. Sorry, I
Second.
didn't realize he's 9 to 2.
9
Great,
to 2 in classic
great price.
encounter.
Because my cloud is a horse going places.
Yes,
He was
agree.
really impressive the last day at Ascot, and he's definitely one for Royal Ascot going down the line. My club,
There
because
we go.
whenever my cloud runs the next day, I'm backing him blind. I don't care what race he's in, he'll win.
Get on
So
him.
get on, mystical. We won't say mythical guests. I just going to keep it quite simple. Like earlier in the day, I never got 7 to 1, but I got 11 to 2. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I really fancy him. I think he's one of the bets of the weekend. Mythical guest. Yeah.
Good. Well, I agree, and I like that because we're both in agreement for pretty much the same reason. And on his penultimate start before that Ascot run, he ran well here
The
at
bullet point. Is it bullet point?
Yeah, bullet point 1, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, they did, yeah. Tribal Chief, decent horse there in
Yeah.
second. Urban Sprawl, a good yardstick as well. But his best performances have come over the mile since he sort of just dropped back to this trip as well. So I'm like you, I think there's plenty left. And for mark of 84, even though he's top weighted in this race, I believe he is deservedly there as the best horse in the race as well. Liam, who do you fancy in the finale for us? As far as
I put Mythical Guest up as a bet over, of
Full
course,
house.
over Oddschecker.
There's the full house. We're
there's the one.
Yeah, so there's the fourth leg of the Lucky 15. So that was on his
Perfect.
seasonal reappearance. I dutched that race, I think, and played a couple in it. He was a big price that day, and I think he does a lot of his better performances come in the early part of the season. So, for example,
Cool.
you look back to last year, he was pretty good in his first 3 starts. He actually won third time up last season. This is his third run this season. Let's hope, given the fact that we all really fancy him, that he'll do exactly the same again. But especially if he can get 5-1, he's an absolute each way bet to nothing with the dead 8 runners. So yeah, I'm all aboard this train.
Love that, mate. Love that. Well, there's our full house selection then. As I said, we're going to give a lucky 15-1 selection each, plus a horse that hopefully we were all going to agree on, and we've just found that now. So selection number 1 is going to be Mythical Guest in the 2:15 at Newmarket at 9-2 at the moment. That's what I can see here with William Hill, but obviously check out Oddschecker for your better prices. Right, well, we're going to go around and get the other 3 selections for the lucky 15. Just deciding whether I let Liam go before me or after me, because I know he wants one in the same race as me. So, Jamie, we'll come to you first, and I can pretty much guarantee I know you're going to go with Dancing Gemini.
No, I go King's Gambit.
Are you? King's Gambit. Okay, fine. King's Gambit. And he runs in the first, which is the 125 at Newbury. Right, in that case, we'll let you go first, Liam.
I am going to go for Spirit of Leros in the 140 at Newmarket.
And the 140. In the 140 at Newmarket.
Yeah, that'll free you up as well, Joe, for yours.
Yeah, all right, cool. Well, yeah, my best bet of the day comes in the... I've got the wrong time there for King's Gambit. King's Gambit's 12.50. So, yeah, my best bet is Idas of March in the 125 at Newbury. Short enough at 7-4, but I think he's an absolute good thing. So, the lucky 15 consists of King's Gambit in the 12.50 at Newbury at 5-2. Idas of March in the 125 at Newbury at 7-4. Spirit of Leros at around 16-1 in the 140 at Newmarket. Then the horse we all agreed on was Mythical Guest in the 2:15 at Newmarket at 9-2. And hopefully we can provide you with a few winners, a little bit of profits to come and talk about next week. For anyone that follows us in, of course, do gamble responsibly. Don't be afraid to have a decent punt if you can keep it disciplined everywhere else. Okay, well, that wraps it up, actually, for this weekend's preview. Jamie, what are you getting up to this weekend? Are you working? You got a freebie? What's going on?
Oh, I have a communion in Dublin, so I have to wash myself afterwards properly when I come out of that county.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. And Liam, you got much planned?
No, not an awful lot. Parking myself in front of the telly, watching the golf, and the missus away on a spa weekend. So,
oh, mate, amazing! So you got the house to yourself and Lola.
And you didn't invite us over for a weekend with the boys.
I know,
That's it.
I did send them out, lads, by a pigeon. And
you're a pigeon, all right.
Pigeons can't get across the water to Ireland. It's too far for them to go.
Billy the pigeon.
Yeah, so. All right, awesome. Well, I'm the same. Going to get stuck into the rest of the golf for the evening. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in. Really do appreciate the support. Again, if you can like and subscribe, awesome. Any topics you want us to discuss, any questions you have, any best bets you fancy for the weekend, do get them into the comment section below. I love coming back and talking to you all because I really appreciate the support. We can't do it without you. Jamie, can't do it without you. As always, much appreciated. Liam, love it that you've obviously joined the team for the rest of the season as well. So thank you, boys, very much. Hopefully, we provided you with some winners, and we'll be back real soon. Bye for now.